The 17 News at Sunrise podcast is brought to you by Clinica Sierra Vista.
Welcome back to the 17 News at Sunrise podcast, where we share your news on your schedule.
Working in the spirit of the Golden Empire, this is 17 News at Sunrise.
And good morning here at 5 a.m. I'm Maddie Jansen alongside Alex Fisher. This morning, coronavirus is reigning in our community as it infects nearly 2,000 people a day. But there may be signs the virus is slowing, although that doesn't mean we're out of the woods. Public health officials yesterday announced a staggering 4,223 new cases from over the weekend. 3 more deaths were also announced. 307 people are in local hospitals with the virus, and 49 more are fighting for their lives in ICUs. Data from public health shows 90% of the hospitalizations are in people who are unvaccinated.
The last group of people unable to get a COVID-19 vaccine may soon be able to do so, and much earlier than anticipated. Pfizer today is expected to ask the FDA for emergency use of its vaccine in children as young as 6 months. Pfizer's vaccine would initially be available as a 2-dose regimen under this plan. But recent data has shown that 2 doses do not provide a strong enough immune response in all age groups. That means a major goal would be to begin the multi-week vaccination process while data is gathered on a 3rd dose. Officials say emergency approval could come by the end of the month.
This all comes after the FDA granted full approval to Moderna's coronavirus vaccine. The vaccine, which was previously given under emergency use authorization, is only available to adults in the U.S. Moderna said last fall that the FDA delayed a decision on clearing the shots for 12 to 17-year-olds as it examined a rare risk of heart inflammation seen mostly in young men and teen boys. Pfizer's vaccine was given full approval for people 16 and older last summer.
Now to a bill that would have set up a state-run single-payer health care system here in California. State lawmakers in the Assembly were set to vote on it yesterday, but the bill didn't even reach the floor. 3 hours into the session and on the final day to pass the bill, Assemblyman Ash Kalra decided to not bring AB 1400 up for a vote, claiming it did not have enough votes to pass. Analysts say the single-payer system, also known as CalCare, would have cost more than $355 billion a year. It was linked to a proposal to raise taxes and faced fierce opposition from more than 120 businesses and medical groups that said it would have cost too much. Democrats who were going to reject the bill avoid publicly putting their positions on the record, as some members of the party said they were prepared to pull endorsements.
Make the mistake of standing with corporations and condemning Californians to needless suffering in a healthcare system that is broken, well, then we are going to vote not to endorse.
Leader of the Assembly, Anthony Rendon, said he is deeply disappointed. Kalra did not bring it up for a vote, saying he would have been a yes. And Bakersfield Assemblyman Vince Fong celebrated the bill's downfall. He tweeted in part, quote, "The effort by Sacramento Democrats to push a government-run single-payer healthcare system in California was stopped." Fong went on to call the bill unsustainable, costly, and unworkable.
An update now on a story we first brought you yesterday morning on Sunrise. An inmate who walked away from a Bakersfield community reentry program over the weekend is now behind bars. 17 News was there when 34-year-old Michael Scallion was arrested at an apartment complex around 7 last night. According to the Department of Corrections, Scallion was discovered missing Saturday night from the program, where he'd been housed since December. He was serving time for drug possession and was scheduled to be released in July. Following his arrest, Scallion was taken to North Kern State Prison. He could now face possible escape charges.
In your 17 Crime Watch, police are looking for a man who reportedly grabbed and sexually assaulted 2 teenage girls near Golden Valley High School last week. It happened Friday afternoon. Police say the girls were able to escape and run home to notify their parents. The man is described as Latino with a stocky to heavy build with a beard and brown eyes. He is believed to be driving a 2013-2015 silver Nissan Sentra with possible front end damage near the passenger side headlight. If you have any information, you're asked to call police.
The parents of a 1-year-old found dead inside a home in Lake Isabella have been arrested in connection to the child's death. Deputies were called to a home on Burney Drive around 9 Saturday morning for a report of a 1-year-old not breathing. When they arrived, they discovered the child had died. The death was deemed suspicious and homicide detectives were called in. Yesterday, KCSO announced they arrested 27-year-old Ashley Safel and 29-year-old Jeffrey Sullins on suspicion of felony child endangerment.
5:07 is our time now, and a family friend of KCSO Deputy Philip Campas has created a petition to have East Bakersfield High School honor the late deputy, who was killed in the line of duty in July.
Brett Ramirez is the son of Campas's high school football coach at East High. He's asking the school to rename the football field, the field house, or the locker rooms in honor of Campas. The field's currently named after an East High graduate who died in World War II, Raymond W. Permenter. At last check, more than 1,000 people have signed the petition. If you'd like to join them in support of honoring Campas, just head to our website and click the hot link icon.
The push to keep tensions between Russia and Ukraine from boiling over continues today. This all comes amid signs that both sides are preparing for a possible invasion. NBC's Bree Jackson is in Washington with more on what's been a war of words so far.
Good morning, Alex. Well, talks between the U.S. and Russia continue this week. Russia did deliver a written response to the U.S. proposal to de-escalate the crisis, but Russia's actions continue to raise concerns. There are new signs that Russia may be gearing up for war, sending blood supplies to its nearly 130,000 troops along Ukraine's border. With diplomatic talks hitting roadblocks, President Biden says the U.S. and its allies are prepared for every scenario.
But with Russia's continuing its buildup of its forces around Ukraine, we are ready no matter what happens.
During Monday's high-stakes showdown at the UN, Russia denied plans to invade Ukraine, instead accusing the West of raising tensions and attempting to cause panic.
We fully understand that the desire of our American colleagues to whip up hysterics. This is of great harm, this hysterica, to Ukraine itself.
But Russian actions, including its troops and special forces on the ground, raise major concerns. The U.S. ambassador warns the situation in Europe is dangerous and must be addressed.
Russia's aggression today not only threatens Ukraine, it also threatens Europe.
On Capitol Hill, members of Congress are preparing a bipartisan package aimed at delivering a devastating blow to Russia's economy. Lawmakers agree on sanctions but are divided over when to implement them.
Russia has already taken provocative action that has caused damage to the Ukrainian economy that merits consequence.
The Biden administration will brief Congress on Ukraine and Russia this Thursday. Both sides are keeping diplomatic efforts alive. Today, the U.S. Secretary of State will hold a phone call with Russia's foreign minister. In Washington, I'm Bree Jackson, 17 News.
New information this morning in the case of an 82-year-old man accused of shooting at one of his neighbors and blowing up his own trailer in North Bakersfield. It happened on January 9th at a home on K and 38th Streets. Court documents reveal Gerald Lowermore fired several gunshots at a neighbor who he says was bothering his dog. He also claims to have set off several explosive devices inside his home to keep his ex-wife from getting the trailer, something he had been planning for 5 years. However, the documents show Lowermore also said the fire was an accident. Lowermore is in custody on charges including attempted murder and arson.
Making headlines around the state, first responders across California are mourning a Stockton firefighter shot and killed while fighting a fire yesterday morning. A procession meandered through the city of Stockton yesterday. Firefighters along the route stopped to pay tribute to the man who died in the line of duty. The firefighter was identified as 47-year-old Captain Max Fortuna, a 21-year veteran. He was working a fire when gunshots were heard and Fortuna was hit. After he was rushed to a hospital, he died. Police arrested a 67-year-old man in connection with the shooting and recovered a gun. Captain Max Fortuna leaves behind a wife and 2 grown children.
Big changes are coming to California's prison system. Governor Gavin Newsom yesterday announced plans to dismantle the largest death row in the nation. Governor Newsom's plan will shut down California's death row within 2 years and transition the almost 700 condemned inmates into the general prison population. The governor says it's what residents wanted when in 2016 they voted for Proposition 66, which was billed as a plan to force inmates to work within the prison system and to speed up death penalty cases.
Voters a number of years ago upheld the principles of the death penalty, but in so doing are requiring us as a state to make those on death row work.
Newsom wants to turn this section into a place for rehabilitation and positive healing for inmates. California has not executed a prisoner in more than 15 years, and in 2019, the governor ordered the execution chamber shut down. Now, for the first time in state history, felons sentenced to death row will not be resentenced, but they will be removed from San Quentin, which has the largest death row in the nation.
Governor Newsom highlighted his $3 billion plan for tackling the state's homelessness crisis with a stop in LA County yesterday. During his visit, the governor toured a behavioral and transitional housing facility in South Los Angeles. Newsom's proposal includes funding for encampment rehousing strategies and plans for 55,000 new housing units and treatment slots. The governor says it's the largest investment of its kind in California history.
Working in the spirit of the Golden Empire, this is 17 News at Sunrise.
The 17 News at Sunrise podcast is a production of KGET and Nexstar Media Group. For more on all of the headlines in today's show, head to kget.com.